Okay, kids, I'm back to my reading of Billy's Back from the Memoirs of Billy Shears on the middle of the chapter 8, I believe. Yes, 8. I was a session musician. So I just read a little of this morning. I'm just found out for 90 days all my stuff's going to be shadow banned even more than it already was. So if anyone ever sees this, you're lucky. Otherwise, I'm going to upload it to my Rumble anyway. When I first joined the Beatles, I imitated Paul. Owing to his scratchy, worn-out voice quality, it is easy to imitate, but harsh on the throat. When it was time to record, I went with a clearer sound and varied my voice for each song for effect. You can hear John and me using a variety of voices in You Know My Name. I use my Vivian voice for enough of it that I expected to be recognized as a match with how I sang as Vivian Stanshall on the strip stage in the Magical Mystery Tour film. As I sing in A Fool on the Hill, I am the man of 1,000 voices talking perfectly loud, but nobody ever hears him. I played as Viv until the mid-90s. Having the right appearance is all that matters. When I look like Paul, fans hear him. If I look like another, that is who people hear. Even as in Viv's case, when it is obvious that the hair, mustache, teeth, nose, and ears are not real, it does not matter. People will still only hear what they believe they see. My Viv costumes were a running gag with beards and foam latex. The fixed blindness of fans made it easy for me to play as Paul once my looks were close enough. Looks are also subject to environment. Being on album covers as Paul, the Beatles context proved I was him. Since my role as the Fool, Vivian Stanshall, was my most successful gig, other than Paul, it is also one that is easy to find online. As Viv in the Magical Mystery Tour film, I look like my son, James, does now. If you compare images of James and Vivian, you will see that my son looks exactly like me. Paul, having never been taught to sing properly, sang from his throat. That throaty sound we hear in all of his songs may have endeared him to some. I do not know. Maybe Paul's lack of voice quality ultimately worked for him in that it made him sound more youthful and innocent, like an untrained teen in love for the first time. But he was not as innocent as he sounded, just untrained. One of the first things singers are taught is to breathe from the diaphragm. Proper airflow gives a smoother flowing sound. Another reason to sing from the diaphragm and not from the throat is that it preserves the voice. Now, even in my last stretch of life, I can still outsing Paul. His years of singing improperly gave him a chronically irritated throat. He wore it out in Hamburg. I can hear his voice cracking even from I can hear his voice cracking even from studio recordings where a more aware artist would have retracted it later when the voice returned. However, for Paul, it was always going hoarse. It was part of his sound. I heard that early on and used it to imitate him, but never made an actual habit of it. If I had, it would have ruined my voice just as it had ruined his. Once it is ruined, that is, it does not recover. I should take a nap. I'm dozing off here. I couldn't sleep well last night because my polyps were flaring up in my nostrils. I need to figure out what to do about my polyps. They were pretty good on my trip, which makes me believe it has something to do with my apartment. I need to clean it more. There's mold somewhere. Here is a tip for you. When you sing along with my songs, or when you sing anything else, consider it an investment in your own voice quality to breathe from down deep. In your talking as well as in your singing, breathing deeply will add decades of longevity to the quality of your voice. I'm trying to breathe deeply now. Likewise, the importance of drinking water cannot be stressed enough. You can avoid voice strain by staying hydrated and by breathing from your diaphragm whenever using your voice. You may consider this report on voice care one of my many free public service announcements. You can count on more over the course of this most helpful book. In this case, besides giving useful personal information, it also provides an obvious contrast between myself and Paul. Learn to hear those differences and to practice breathing deeply whenever you use your voice. And keep drinking water. Okay, that's all. The next chapter is the Bonzos, which I'll read next time. I'm going to take a little nap because I'm dozing off. I didn't sleep well last night at all because of my nose. Tonight I'm going to do something. I'm going to clean my filter because I left the filter running, air filter, the whole time I was gone. But I left the windows shut because I didn't know if it was going to rain or whatever for a week and a half. I don't think it rained, but it's just better to have it all shut so no one could break in my house too. So the filter got a lot of stuff in there, and I put the filter by where I slept last night, which I probably shouldn't have done. I need to vacuum out the filters thing and wipe it with sanitation wipes on the filter. And do something else. Anyway, I gotta go get some natural herbal stuff too that I had up until I used it all in Guam. But these help a lot. These are natural from the health food store. Power to breathe. The polyps are on this side. Some days the polyps are on this side, and some days the polyps are on that side. I couldn't breathe at all out of this side of the nose last night, but when I went to bed, I couldn't breathe out of this side of the nose, and I could breathe perfectly out of this side. And then I laid on the side, I guess this side, and the polyps went to this side. It sounds like I'm totally congested, but I blow my nose and nothing comes out because it's just polyps mostly. I have another one, so I'll try this one. I had my polyps removed, 10-day operation, 10 days in the hospital, and like 6 months of therapy before the operation to see if I can get rid of them with medication. But I only told them I wanted to use Compo, which is natural homeopathic medicine from China. So everything they prescribed to me, I said no, I want to use Compo. And after my polyps were removed for a month, I can smell everything like I never can remember smelling in my whole life. And I was so shocked. So many things had a smell to them that I never knew how to smell, including the staff room at the school I worked at. When they walk in the door, it's just like, open the door, it's just like coffee smell. It just goes, it smells really good. I stopped using as much sugar during that time. But after a month later, my polyps grew right back. So I'm like, I'm not going to go through that whole 10 days in the hospital again. Because in Japan, they want you to stay in 10 days in the hospital. Because it doesn't really cost that much to stay in the hospital. When I got this little bump removed on my back, which they thought was cancer at the cancer center, my Aflac insurance paid for every day I stayed in the hospital an extra $100 back to me, or $1,000, I can't remember. I stayed in 7 days and they gave me $7,000, so I think it was $1,000 a day. But the whole 10 days I stayed in, or 7 days I stayed in the hospital, plus the operation, plus all the therapy before that, I ended up making $6,000 off my cancer, because it only cost me $1,000 to stay in the hospital and get an operation, which is just how it works in universal health care countries. You pay 30% of the total cost, and the government pays 70% on your insurance. And your insurance, you pay like $100 something a month for it, but it's based on your income. So I had a pretty good income, so I paid that much. But if you have a lower income, like my wife and daughter, they only pay like $25 a month for insurance, and they go to the doctors all the time. I don't like going to doctors as much. And every time they prescribe me anything, I always tell them, no, I want compo. Don't give me Western medicine. I don't want no side effects. Anyway, please share the videos. Please like them, because I'm totally shadow banned. That's why no one's listened to this video so far, because they're shadow banning me for... They were already shadow banning me, but now they're admitting that they're shadow banning me, and shadow banning me more for 90 days because I posted true information that they call fake info. They call it medical misinformation, but they won't tell you where. In your post, there's medical misinformation. There's these fake fact checkers that are paid for by Bill Gates and other criminals. They just lie about what is fake and what is not fake, because they're the fakers, not the true information I put up that they take down. All right, peace out, kids.